and team. Okay. You're on.
It's just three, you guys?
Well, there's four of us.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Jason Peasley. I'm the executive director of the Yampa Valley Housing Authority. As you guys know, because we talked about this last week, annually we provide a report to the community, and that report has been included in your packet, and we're presenting it to you. We're actually going to be presenting in March to the county as well. What I wanted to talk about briefly is we were, as you know, created by the city and county, and we have kind of one specific purpose, and that's to deliver housing solutions. And I'm not going to go through all these numbers, but over the course of the time that the Housing Authority has been around, we've delivered hundreds of housing units. We've preserved many more, and we've impacted thousands of lives. And the way in which we do that is through a variety of tactics. So I hate reading slides, but I will read you our mission statement, which is support the local community, support the local economy, community, and businesses of the Yampa Valley by implementing appropriate housing solutions for local workers, qualified residents, and their families. How we get that done is through kind of a four-pronged approach. The first is development and preservation, and that's the most tangible thing that you'll see. Is new buildings going up, or a mobile home park that was once owned by a private party is now owned by the Housing Authority. That is the most visible indication of our mission. Secondarily, the treatment of those properties, property management, selling of real estate, those are services that we provide to the community to make sure that those properties are well maintained, and that those units that are for sale transfer ownership smoothly. Thirdly, and this is something that doesn't necessarily get a lot of press, so I want to focus on this, is our down payment assistance program. We've actually talked about this a little bit recently with the Housing Committee, is that countywide, we've supported nearly 100 families with down payment assistance. And that is creating an opportunity for folks to get into free market homes with just that little bit of help. And the city over the years, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, supported the creation of that down payment assistance fund. We've been able to get grants and things like that. We're actually investing about $700,000 this year in down payment assistance to help folks get into home ownership. So it's a really important piece that I think goes, generally speaking, unnoticed, because it's just a single transaction with an individual, happens to help them close their home, and on they go. And then the last thing that we do is housing navigation. The world of housing is constantly changing. And so we provide services to folks that walk into our office or give a call to our front desk, and just don't even know where to begin. I'm struggling with housing, or I'm new to town, whatever it might be. We help connect them with the resources, whether there are resources or whether there are other resources in the community that can help them get into housing. So we provide those services to the community, and obviously at no cost. When we talk about our kind of real estate holdings, again, that's the most tangible thing that you can see, and you've seen it all around town, from the reserves on the west side of town all the way to Anglers and Alpenglow here in kind of the Central Valley side of town. What's important to note is that every single one of those units that we deliver has a household living in them. And that's the stuff that really brings us a ton of joy. So just recapping the communities that we own or have developed: Hillside Village Apartments. Fox Creek was the first deed restricted homeownership property that the Housing Authority built nearly over 20 years ago. Fish Creek Mobile Home Park and Whitehaven Mobile Home Park. Whitehaven was one of those mobile home preservation opportunities that we had. Each one of those properties, Hillside, Fish Creek, and Whitehaven, are part of our ongoing plan to invest in those communities. We're working on a water and sewer project at Whitehaven, working on an electrical upgrade program at Fish Creek, as well as swapping out new trailers so people can upgrade their living conditions. And then we're working on a wholesale rehabilitation of Hillside Village Apartments over the course of the next couple of years. Our other affiliated properties, these are ones that you guys are quite familiar with. They've been built recently, and those are the Reserves, Alpenglow, Anglers, and Sunlight. We don't manage those. We've spent quite a bit of time talking about that. I want to thank you guys for your help in elevating the property management issues. My team members were out doing walks with the checklists that we had all talked about and seeing a ton of progress at those properties, as far as the physical conditions, as far as the management, staffing levels. So all of that is in a state of significant improvement. So thank you guys for all of your help, kind of elevating that and making sure that the folks that live there get the highest quality of living conditions that they deserve. As we jump into development, we think of development in essentially 4 stages. Concept being very nascent and things that we're exploring, but they aren't necessarily real yet. Pre-development are areas where we are actively working to finance, design the projects, go through the entitlement process. Construction is obviously construction. There's going vertical, and then delivery. And that's the most important thing. We need to move projects from concept to delivery as fast as possible. And so from our standpoint, our internal goals are to have 100 units in each stage of the kind of development pipeline: 100 in concept, 100 in pre-development, 100 under construction, and 100 units being delivered. So to that end, on the delivery side of things, the Cottonwoods lotteries are opening later this month, and units will be getting CO in March. So this is the sort of end goal of everything that we do, is creating an opportunity for a household to have a new place to call home. And we're incredibly excited about the Cottonwoods. We've had nearly 500 households express interest in living there. We're nearing kind of the 100 mark of people qualified to live in the units that can enter the lotteries. And so we have an entire team, along with our partners at the agency, are working on running the lotteries and taking those folks through a seamless process of going under contract and moving into their new units in the next several weeks. So we're incredibly excited about that. For those listening at home, there's a QR code on the screen if you want to learn more, or you can email sales@yvha.org. We are also doing open houses here starting later this week, so that first the folks that have been qualified to buy can start taking a look at the units that they intend to apply for. And then secondarily, we want to open that up to folks like you, so that you guys can come see what you have invested in. Your investment, $10 million in the Cottonwoods, has created the deepest and most affordable homeownership opportunity in more than 20 years. So we all should be very proud of that. We're looking forward to people moving in and closing on those units. Moving on. Strategic plan. We had a little bit of a discussion last week about our strategic plan. I provided that in the packet for you guys. But I wanted to just highlight a few of those things that you see in our strategic plan that you may have seen sort of the product of. So the first being kind of a goal of ours is to know the local housing need. A portion of that is the housing market and demand study that you saw produced this summer. And that is, from our standpoint, a very important tool for us to have our finger on the pulse of what the analytics are saying the market is, and then secondarily connecting with the community to understand what's the product types they're looking for. And so that is a really tangible outcome of that goal for us as an organization. On the property and asset management side of things, we are continuing to invest in resident support, as you guys we've spent quite a bit of time talking about. And then on the real estate side, our goal is to turn that dream of home ownership into a reality for 86 households at the Cottonwoods, but also give people the tools to do that, not only at our properties, but many others, including some of the opportunities that we'll be talking about later tonight. From a finance standpoint, I also included our audit for y'all to see. And our goal here is really to have incredibly healthy financials, but also to make sure that they're delivered timely and that they're accessible. And so that's a really important aspect for us. We're also focused on forecasting and modeling, not only for our own internal organization, but also for the developments that we're working on. Lastly, on policy, I have to give a big thanks to Catherine Carson because she boosts our credibility in this area a lot. We are leaders in statewide advocacy related to housing issues. When there are housing bills, we are getting directly contacted by folks in the legislature to find out what we think about those housing bills. And that's important for us because we're oftentimes on the cutting edge of what's happening with housing. And so being able to feed that information back to the policymakers is really important from our standpoint. And lastly, from a communication standpoint, it's really important for us to tell the stories of the impact that stable housing has. It is transformational for folks to move from a housing unstable situation and all of the trauma that causes to get to a place where their housing is stable and they can thrive. And so from our standpoint, we are really focused on telling those stories. Looking ahead, as I mentioned, one of our goals is to continue to keep filling that pipeline. We obviously have the second phase of Cottonwoods that is in the sort of what I would call advanced stage of pre-development. It's nearly construction ready. I would expect that could break ground this year. And then we have the U.S. Forest Service Hilltop project, which is probably not quite as advanced in that pre-development phase, where we're nearing the place where we start investing in design and engineering and entitlements. We obviously continue to explore other opportunities throughout Steamboat to keep that pipeline filled. We're not necessarily speaking about any of those in particular today, but the point being is that we are out prospecting for opportunities so that we can continue to fill that pipeline. Because the projects that you conceive of today, 3 years from now, become more advanced in that pipeline and become something that's nearing delivery. And so the work that we're doing that's being delivered today was in those early stages several years ago. We intend to be investing in our properties. Whitehaven is probably the biggest project that we have going on, which would be replacing all of the water and sewer there and actually connecting that community to city water for the first time. Somehow it sits in the middle of the city, but does not have city water. It's been on a well for the last 30, 40 years. And so we're doing that through a mix of state and federal grants, donations, and then we obviously have a request into you guys for STR funds to support that community. We continue to work with you all on Brown Ranch, and look forward to the meetings next week to kind of explore more about what what community builders and Civic Canopy have in mind for the next steps, and then focusing on property management and again, $700,000 in down payment assistance loans we expect to be making next year. That's largely driven by the Cottonwoods, but it's also a function of the fact that there's quite a bit of housing that's out there on the inventory right now. So it runs in sort of cycles. I think we're getting into a place where down payment assistance is going to be far more utilized as housing becomes more accessible. As we finish, I want to hand out something for you guys. Thanks.
Sir? 401. It's my room.
It's not a room number. It's not a unit number. Well, it is kind of a unit number. When we deliver Cottonwoods here in the next several weeks, YVHA will have delivered 401 housing units to this community. And I wanted to provide this to you and the many other people who have had a hand in helping us deliver 401 units. It's really important for us to understand that this is the goal, that the house and the end user is the goal here. And we've delivered on that over the course of the last 20 years for the Housing Authority. We haven't done it on our own. We've done it together. And so I wanted this to just be a reminder to everyone as we work collaboratively, these are the types of things we can achieve. So that is my presentation. If you have any questions.
Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Who wants to start? Councilor Pacino.
There you go. Thank you for the token, and it's well received. It has been one of these, I think a lot of people may not know, when we got the Anglers property, we had ponied up, I think, $500,000 to help you secure that land from a private buyer.
Yep. And
now I have an employee that lives there. And it's very exciting that she can live here and not in Hayden and have to drive through. And on that vein, I just wanted to kind of find out, and it may be a little bit in the weeds on this, but as we're going into the new for sale project, which is new for your organization, and we've, done as much as we could do more, but I mean, buying it down $10 million to make it for sale is awesome. One thing that I was wondering is that what kind of financing are these Cottonwoods that you guys have secured, or is it all conventional loans? Is there, we have some very wealthy people that have helped us along the way, but in the same regards, is there a fund that we can do with the community foundation that would be something akin to a mortgage that has all kinds of limitations and challenges? Could we even help people finance the remaining of that with, the community foundation and some other wealthy people to do something to get them in? Because it may not be conventional to have some of those 100 people even get into one of these units.
Yeah, we haven't spent a ton of time exploring that particular vein. What we have been doing has been working with all of the conventional mortgage lenders here in town to make sure that they're all familiar with that. Our experience has been that every single home, deed-restricted home that sells here has a conventional mortgage with it. And the tool that we tend to utilize to help people is that down payment assistance. And so that, I think, is probably the most beneficial tool. Whether it's a down payment assistance loan or whether it's a down payment assistance grant. There are a couple different programs out there within the state that allow for that. So the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority has their own down payment program along with their CHFA First Step loan program. And then there's a ton of conventional loan products out there as well. So traditionally what we've done is paired a pot of down payment assistance money with conventional mortgages.
We'll see how that goes this next. It's going to be interesting to hear the stories of how people were able to get financing to get into these properties. And so I think that to me is one of the encouraging thing, and we'll have a conversation later tonight on our second reading of the agenda that we're working on. But no, thank you. That helps. Just kind of a curiosity right now.
Yeah, I will be curious to see as well. We've been communicating a lot to our potential buyers to get in front of their mortgage lenders early and often so that they understand their purchasing power, they understand what they can afford, they understand, all of them understand our down payment programs, so that they can kind of create the appropriate financial cocktail for them to get into that housing.
Good. Other questions for Jason?
Hi, Jason. Thanks for attaching the audited financial statements. Because what I'm reading is that you all had a clean audit this was in 2024. Yeah, so kudos. That's awesome.
Thank you. Most of that goes to my finance team and their hard work working with the auditors and working on the books every week.
Yeah. For those that are not involved in financials, like this is a big deal. This is what we all strive for, but there were no material weaknesses identified, significant deficiencies identified. I mean, that's what we all strive for. And so I think that I always like to highlight that when we have audits like this.
Thank you.
So.
Okay. Any other thoughts for Jason?
You know, just looking what's the next project.
Always the next project.
That's what we're working on.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. And I guess we should open it up to public comment here. Is there anybody in the room or anybody online? Please raise your hand if you're online who'd like to make a public comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment, and we really don't have any direction to provide at this point.